Today I fucked up by giving a guy a couple bucks outside of Chipotle. Today I fucked up by trying to give a guy outside Chipotle a couple bucks for some food. I was on my way into Chipotle for lunch today and there was a man in his early 20s looking for a couple bucks for some food. I told him I'd help him out and pulled out my wallet. Now, normally I don't carry cash, but my friend had paid me back with a bunch of $1 bills a couple days before. Knowing this, I just grabbed a stack of 5 or 6 and gave it to him saying all I had was ones. Here is where I fucked up. I had forgotten that my grandpa had given me $2.100 at Christmas yesterday. I went to sort through my other gifts tonight and realized what I'd done. Luckily I'm in a good financial situation and I wasn't counting on that to pay my rent or anything, but $200 is $200. He didn't come running to give it back to me, which is completely fine, and I'm going to hope he thought I was just spreading Christmas cheer, and pays it forward in a different way for someone else. I'm guessing he's also going to eat a lot of Chipotle. Too long didn't read, meant to give someone in need a couple bucks for some food, instead gave a couple hundred. It may not be the case here but I thought I'd share. When I was homeless, the homeless people I met that weren't completely out there were very community minded. This was in LA. Made up names, but real events. Paul got a $50 gas card for doing some work for a church. $30 went in his car, $20 went in mine. Marco couldn't get food his first day at the food bank. There's a process, it sucks but they needed to track it for funding, so I split my food with him. Carolyn would keep an eye out for new people and make sure they knew the safe spots to sleep, where the cops won't bother you. The places varied mostly to keep anything from becoming a tent city, which would force action. Plus you needed to know where it was legal to sleep in your car if you'd won. And that's hard to find in Los Angeles. Jack would go to the library and print out these lists business card size to give out, or for you to take a picture of if you had a phone and reliable charging, that listed where you could get food any day of the week. Lots only do 1 day a week. Some only do homeless on some days, low income on others, so this was vital for some. Harry and Jeff would take turns watching over people while they slept so nobody messed with them. Both former Marines, they kept a lot of people safe. And I remember this one time Ben got a couple hundred from a guy while panhandling. He got himself a motel room for the night, then took a few of us out for dinner at the diner. Not the best idea, sure. Probably could have stretched that for a few weeks, if he really tried. But for some of those people it was the first hot meal they'd had in a while that wasn't value menu crap. Just the very act of being able to sit in a restaurant and commiserate with friends without a care in the world for a few hours is something I don't think I'll ever take for granted again. At the store I work at, one of the groomers watched a customer shuffle through a bunch of $100s in his wallet and didn't pay attention to the fact that he handed her a $20 to pay for his bill and accidentally gave him $90 something in change back. Luckily he was an honest guy and called to let us know what had happened, but it totally messed up our day end count and we were all freaking out trying to figure out why we were off so much. I did something similar. My draw was off by a similar insane amount, so they checked the cameras and saw I had fucked the money up somehow. No idea how, and the guy either never noticed or didn't tell. Basically the guy walked off with free groceries as I put his money in my drawer and gave him back a similar amount, say groceries were $60. 86, he gave me $70, I gave him 58. 14, different numbers, made same amount of sense, and I have no idea how it happened. Never happened again. Me and 2 managers sat in the office just baffled. Since it doesn't affect you that badly, congratulations on spreading happiness. But is it that easy to mix up denominations with dollars? I'm Indian and all our notes are different sizes and colors. And the denomination is written like everywhere on the note. US dollars are all the same color and size, so I can imagine it being very easy to mix them up. I hope he used it well. I'm glad you're not too upset about it. Just think about how much you helped someone out this year. Today I fucked up by throwing my runty and mentally challenged kitten in the trash. Maybe this is overdramatic, but I will forever feel horrible for this. For some background, my kitten Bones is the runt of our latest litter, and is 10 weeks old. She's really tiny, about half the size of her siblings. I say mentally challenged because she's kind of stupid. By this I mean she walks into walls, off of edges, and into our other pets and is completely stunned by this. She has to take a whole minute to figure out how to jump a short distance. At first we thought she was blind, but it turns out she's just kind of slow, I guess. When she wants attention or food she headbutts the wall. When she runs she opens her mouth to breath and drools everywhere. She's also somewhat cross-eyed, and also walks really weird, with her tail straight up, back legs bent like she's crouching, and her ass halfway to the ground. We actually even named her Bones because when she walks, her hip bone juts out in a way that it's very prominent. We took her to the vet last week, and he said she was perfectly healthy now besides breathing problems, but we should watch out for possible seizures in the future. He thinks she probably got dropped by her mom when she was a few days old, and that could be why she's kind of weird. So anyways, she's my favorite little kitten out of the litter. Even though she's quirky, she's very loving and fun to play with. Her favorite thing to do is curl up against my neck and cuddle. 2 days ago at 4 AM I had just finished binging GOT and went to go throw away the wrapper of a popsicle I'd eaten. She's small enough to fit in my palm, so I got lazy and was carrying her and holding the popsicle wrapper in the same hand. This was a really stupid decision. I popped open the metal trash can and without even thinking, threw her and the wrapper in the trash. I didn't even register it until I heard a loud thunk and strained row. It hit me and I rushed to turn the light on. I could pull the top off and see inside. This happened to be the same night my mom decided to clear all the leftovers from the fridge into the trash can. So she was covered in a ton of old, sloppy food, mostly enchiladas and spaghetti. She also had somehow hit her face. She had a really bloody nose she kept sneezing from, and I swear her head had a little bump that looked dark under the fur. I panicked and took her to the bathroom to wipe her down. The second she heard the water she scratched the hell out of my hand and pissed and shit all over herself. I felt horrible. I got a washcloth and wiped her down the best I could, but she wasn't happy at all and her bloody nose kept going. It eventually stopped, but I still felt like shit. She didn't trust me for the rest of the night or the next day, and kept running away from me. She didn't eat at all and only laid in the same place. I was so scared I had given her severe brain damage or something crazy. She warmed up to me again, but I will forever feel horrible. So the scratches she gave me got infected and pus-filled, so there's that. I deserve it. TL, doctor, was too lazy to hold my runty and mentally challenged kitten and trash in different hands, so I accidentally threw her into a metal trash can so hard I gave her a horrible bloody nose and bump. Also got infected scratches from trying to help her, which I more than deserve. Edit, Bones is okay. She's still being her dopey self, walking off beds and into walls. Nothing is broken and she isn't in any pain. She's eating and running just like before. Smile. Also fixed the post because my sister reminded me that she's 10 weeks, not 8. Edit 2, since so many of you asked, here she is. Edit 3, I have decided I'm going to make up for this horrendous sin by dedicating the rest of my life to making sure she's healthy, happy, and loved. Edit 4, I'm really sorry for flooding this posts with edits, but I'd like to keep you all informed. The commenters telling me I should get her checked anyways are right. Next week when Bones goes to get shots, I will have the vet check her out, and I'm also going to ask about the chance of her still being potentially blind. Many of you pointed out her unfocused eyes, and cerebral hyperplasia, which her mama also has. Cause a week is a long time to be in potential pain. I'm having my mom's friend, another vet, come over tomorrow to check her out and hopefully give me the brands of potential painkillers she can safely take as a baby. Thank you all for the advice and support. Heart. Edit 5, I've already gotten a dozen or so comments asking that I fix her mama because she shouldn't be breeding if she has a neurological disorder. And I completely agree. But the problem here is that Bones' mama isn't my cat. She's my sister's cat, and my sister is refusing to fix her. She actually was going to, but then we found out she was pregnant with Bones' litter, and spaying a prego cat equals murder in my sister's eyes, I guess. I fully plan on spaying Bones ASAP. I disagree with breeding, and if I could fix my sister's cat, I would. Sorry if I confused anyone. Last edit, you guys keep asking for more pictures, so here you go. I'm also considering making some form of social media for her since a few people have asked. Hey, if the scratches don't start looking better ASAP, I'd go to an urgent care or something. Cat scratch disease is no bueno. Yup. Had it once as a kid, don't plan on it again. Treated it with some disinfectant, but if the swelling gets worse, I'm heading to the clinic. It's what I deserve for trashing my poor baby though. Take my upvote, and please give that little dummy some kisses for me. Everyone makes mistakes. I did something similar with my cat once and he wouldn't let me hold him for a couple days. Frown. If you guys had a good relationship, it'll recover quickly though. I accidentally left my roommate's asshole cat in the fridge when we went to grab sushi. Stupid cat just loved sneaking into that thing. When I found it in there an hour later, it was the friendliest it had ever been. And it was fine. BTW, didn't seem like the cold bothered it one bit. Doesn't stop me from feeling like a jackass for not realizing it slipped in there though. When our kittens were tiny, they're fully grown kittens now, Lydia, our girl, would rush into the fridge every time we opened it and she would run in and hide behind everything on the bottom shelf. It became such a pain to get her out that we just shut the door until she'd meow for us to let her out, usually only a couple minutes. She got over that habit real quick. Now her brother rushes the front door because our idiot roommate and his girlfriend don't know how to close it all the way, and we're still trying to figure out a way to break that without being a baby gates everywhere house. I have an neurotypical grown adult cat. I can see how this happened. Are you sure nothing's broke? I'd call the vet and ask them if they should see her. ? As far as we can tell, no. Her nose looks okay, but if she has any issues in the next few days we're going to schedule an appointment. Today I fucked up by nearly bleeding to death after having sex with my wife, NSWF. I like to eat in bed. Little did I know it would almost kill me. This fine evening I decided to make myself a few sandwiches and sit in bed while browsing the internet. After finishing my sandwiches I put my ceramic plate on my nightstand next to the bed, brushed my teeth and went to sleep. Next morning I'm pretty horny and roll over and initiate with my wife. We do the deed and end up mostly on my side of the bed. After I finished I roll off her and intend to roll to the side of the bed with my butt on the edge and feet hanging off, so I'm basically sitting on the edge of the bed. Well, I misjudged it and fell right off the bed. In the process of falling I knocked off the plate and proceeded to land directly on top it. Naturally it shatters. I felt no pain, so my first thought was damn, that was close. My wife asks if I'm okay, so I look down and see a large gash on my right kneecap, which for some reason wasn't bleeding, a profusely bleeding puncture in my thigh next to my knee, and on my left foot, 2 more punctures that were mildly bleeding. Shit. Is this how it's going to end? Bleeding out on my bedroom floor while butt naked? I tell my wife no, I'm not okay, and urgently tell her to drive me to the ER. She doesn't realize how badly I'm bleeding since I'm putting pressure on my leg with a towel I found nearby, and proceeds to slowly get the kids ready and in the car before helping me put on some shorts, a shirt, and helps me down the stairs and into the car. We get to the ER and by that time I've miraculously stopped heavily bleeding. I find a wheelchair and wheel myself to the front desk to check in. Since I'm not noticeably bleeding anymore, they didn't give me priority. Eventually I check in and they ask what happened. I tell them exactly what happened, except I left out the sex part. They legitimately did not believe me and asked if my wife did it. My wife then happened to walk in with the kids after parking the car, so I motioned to her and told the receptionist, no, this is kind of embarrassing, but we had just had sex and I rolled off the bed, etc. At this point a few other ER personnel overheard and started cracking up. Receptionist loudly asked my wife across the room if it was true. My wife embarrassingly nodded her head. I get admitted and they remove the plate shards, stitch me up, and tell me to practice safe sex in the future since I literally could have died had the plate hit my artery. P.S. We told our kids that mom and dad were wrestling. They still like to talk about how mom threw dad off the bed while wrestling and sent me to the hospital. It'll be fun once they're old enough to realize what we were actually doing. TL, doctor, left a ceramic plate on my nightstand. Had sex with my wife the next morning, fell off the bed, knocked over the plate, landed on the shattered plate, cut open my knee, thigh, foot, went emergency room. They didn't believe me and thought my wife did it at first. Gave them a good laugh when they realized I was telling the truth. The kids 15 years later. Wait a minute. They weren't wrestling. When my family and friends asked what happened, we'd say wrestling. It was fun seeing which friends immediately knew and which took a while to realize the truth. Are we just gonna ignore the part where he said make myself a few sandwiches, lamau, peanut butter and honey? The best. NGL, the end with the doctors telling you to practice safe sex was kinda funny. Got a kick out of that. Glad the ER has a sense of humor. NSWF, not safe wife fucking. You lie in bed, browsing the internet, whilst making toasted sandwiches, and you have a wife and got laid?